It has been 10 years from the most significant economic and financial disruption since the Great Depression, nearly a decade after the 2008 financial crisis. The main reason of it being many banks giving out loans without liquidity, causing an immense instability in markets, which gradually became global and the world economy plummeted. Much has happened in those 10 years, and it has become tempting to believe that everything has returned to normal or even better. The expected growth in GDP of 2% in the European Union and generally increasing interest rates indicate that the crisis is over. Only 1 decade ago, Germany was called the sick man of Europe. Today, Germany is Europe's engine or economic superstar, after doing unexpectedly well during the crisis, in the contrary to most other countries affected by the great financial crisis and its after effects. Germany's reward for the strict economic management, combining fiscal conservatism and structural reforms of welfare in the labor market, is the emerging as one of the strongest and most reliable economies known today. China, like Germany, had a rather good situation in the crisis due to their isolated financial sector, but then demand for Chinese goods dropped. Many factories had to cut costs or even close down, leaving an estimated 20 million Chinese without job in a matter of months. China's fast economy was slowing down, having a growth of approximately 6.9% in the final quarter of 2008 in comparison to the 15% in the quarter before. In response to that, the Chinese government imposed a stimulus package of about 4 trillion yuan in tax cuts and investments. Especially in Greece, the situation was far from good. In 2009, partially caused by the crisis, Greece's budget deficit exceeded 15% of its GDP, causing the Greek bond market to collapse, shutting down the ability to repay any debts. Since February 2015, the EU loaned Greece, along with private investors, about 300 billion euros to avoid a possible collapse of the Eurozone. The largest financial rescue in history required Greece to introduce sharp austerity measures, which cut pensions, salaries, and budgets. The GDP growth rate has only turned into the positive January 2017, and unemployment, after reaching an all-time high of 28%, remains at 20%. So now, after many countries recovered very well from the past disaster, for many the question arises if we can say when something like 2008 might happen again, or how we could even avoid such a collapse. At the moment, many economists have a very optimistic view on the things despite the slow recovery in some southern European countries. The economies of the EU or US are much more stable and stronger than before 2008. Many governments and central banks are prepared accordingly and would step in and take the risk that the market can't take.